you said it's okay if you are. Um, so my thing when I felt that, when I saw that, my first thought was why even ask? Why
Because
even
I'll tell
have
you
that come
why.
up?
Good question. I always wonder, always, you got to read your audience the same way you read the presenter. And so when someone's critiquing a male and a female in a relationship, sometimes you have to wonder where they're coming from. If a male doesn't like females, right, and a male prefers dating males, then maybe his thought process on me dating a female may very well could be off or obtuse or hard for me to understand. So that's just me wondering sometimes, like, if you're a man and you're going out with another man, and you're critiquing a man and a woman, it could still be fair, but it helps me understand the presenter. You should always understand your audience and the presenter. So that was just me trying to understand. If you're trying to critique, I just want to understand where you're coming from, because a lot of times men that date other men had problems dating women, right? And so their thought processes are different. So sometimes you just got to ask some questions to understand where they're coming from. He did not get offended at all. We chatted afterwards. There was nothing that he was offended by. So I really hope that you're not getting offended. It seems like you're getting bothered with the response.
So, I mean,
Are you upset about
I
that?
I'm not upset.
Okay.
All I'm saying is, I mean, I have family members, you know, um, my godson, you know what I mean, people that are close to me, and I just feel like there are certain platforms, certain areas where it shouldn't be brought up, right? It seems like you are trying to identify how you should treat him based on the sexual preference, right? That's what it's sounding like. And I don't think that's right. I feel like a relationship is a relationship, no matter who you're with, right? If you can keep it real, if you can be accountable and have integrity, then it doesn't matter, right?
I
And
agree.
I'm only saying that because it wasn't the first time, right? You've also brought it up one
With
time with
Jeremy.
us before. Yeah.
With Jeremy.
Yeah, and I felt some type of way about that as well because I didn't think it was called for. I didn't think his approach would have been any different. It didn't seem like his sexuality changed what he was thinking or feeling about you or your journey. We were just talking about what we saw from you on the show.
So like you, I have family that have this that are gay. I'll just say it. I have friends that are. I
Yeah, you back.
Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah. So like you, I also have people that walk in those shoes, and they know exactly where I stand. I have very
Yeah.
He's frozen.
He's breaking up.
Yeah. Um, I'm gonna put myself on mute. I'm over here real quick checking something, okay?
Is that y'all or me?
Yeah, you back.
Is that y'all or me? My
It
connection or
was you.
y'all?
It was you.
Oh. Um, so again, I have family and friends that walk these shoes, and I'm very free and fair as they are with these types of settings. So when you talked about the first time with Jeremy, I was trying to understand Jeremy. Just going through some of the chat that was happening behind the scenes, the reason why he was getting frustrated, I think a lot of folks were thinking that he was in attack mode in that interview with me. And even though I welcomed his perspectives, we all noticed him getting very, defensive. And so I was just trying to understand where he was coming from, and again, it's just me trying to understand where he was coming from with his lines of question. It didn't seem like he was trying to understand my responses. It's almost like he wanted to catch something. And I know he's young, but what concerned me, Ty, what concerned me about Jeremy, is that prior to me joining your live that night, he mentioned that the men on my season were trash. And then he mentioned, with you listening, the men in all the seasons, previous Radio Love seasons, were trash. So it bothered me that he said that in front of you, with you on a panel with him. And he said it about me and my 9 other fellas that are on this season of Miami while I was in the chat listening. Because I'm a fan of Sabrina's. I'm a fan of you. I'm a fan of Jamie. I'm a fan of Gus. And so I was just like, who is this kid, talking about men being trash? Because I don't know men that call other men trash. So I assumed that this was somebody that needed to be checked really quick. So I wanted to come on. I'm glad that y'all brought me on. I answered his questions. I'm still frank, still friendly with the guy, but I was curious because I assumed that he has had problems with men in the dating world, the way he was coming off with his questions with me. And so it was no surprise that he says he dates men and women. It was no surprise to me. My assumption was correct. And I can see why some of the frustration that he had that day in the chat with some of the audience. A lot of men have problems with men because they date men. I'm still going to say it. It's the truth. Whether you want to admit it or not, I'm hearing this from my own gay friends, so, and they're not really close friends, but I I lived in Atlanta. I lived in DC. I lived in some major cities throughout the U.S. I got a very large perspective on this.
I got to jump in real quick.
Yeah.
I mean, you said yourself, there's a low percentage of finding love. Everyone has problems with relationships.
Everybody.
No matter your sexual preference, right?
Yeah, it's not about sexual preference.
So, like you mentioned, and I'm just trying to be clear as much as we can. So you mentioned that you felt some type of way about him, and it sounded like you felt you needed to check him. And your way of checking him is questioning his sexual preference.
No, no, not at all. My way of checking him, like I told Sabrina offline, weeks ago, I didn't like the fact that he mentioned men as trash. That was the main reason why I came on, and I was going to talk about it, but I didn't want to open up hello to Sabrina's soulmates with why you calling us trash. I was ready to go in, but I tempered myself, and I was just like, you know what? Nah, I'm not gonna check the dude. I'm just gonna say let's go with your questions. And we started talking about struggle. He wanted me to clarify struggle. They wanted me to clarify, pursue a woman, that doesn't pursue me first. And he got that understanding. And so he got his questions answered, but I made sure that I bit my tongue on the purpose of me coming in, and it had nothing to do with his sexuality. Me disrespecting anyone for their sexual preference is only if you knew how many people I have associated with, or have hired, have promoted, have consulted me, and there's nothing close to it. So I can understand why you are collating the Jeremy experience with what happened with Kojo. Never am I looking down upon anybody that's different than me.
Well, since you had brought up the Kojo thing, it seemed like it was a repeat of the checking. Like you said it yourself, Kojo, are you questioning me because you had mentioned something about Kojo had mentioned something about your constant praise of Black women? And Kojo mentioned something about, yes, there are things that I could question you about, but I'm not going to go there. And you seem to feel slighted by that.